everybody. What's up? I'm Sarah the Rebel.
And I'm MisfitsTamara.
And this is Woman Up Podcast. Yeah, we taught Tamara how to say the thing. We're so excited. Yeah. If you're new here, hello, welcome. We don't know how you got here and we apologize. But this is a podcast where two feminist, crazy cat ladies talk about geeky stuff.
And we're going to run down our favorite topics of the week and news bits, and then share some of our chick picks with everybody.
We also answer questions sometimes, but this is not a live show. This is our first recorded show. So if you have questions, you actually need to tweet them at us. We don't have any answers for you at the moment.
None.
I would like to answer a made-up question. Yes, this is my real hat.
The answer is 42.
42 is always the answer. For returning fans, hello, welcome back. We missed you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. If you're listening to allgames.com, thank you. If you're listening to iTunes, what up?
What up?
Give us a rating or we will hate you forever. Today we have a special guest, Carrlyn Bathe!
Hey, everybody!
Carrlyn's a host for Fox Sports and is a host for the Wrestling Compadre Slamcast.
Yes, I am.
Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, I am Carrlyn Bathe. Great intro.
Good job.
And I've been working at Fox Sports for, probably 6 months now, 7 months.
Awesome.
And I cover the WWE, I cover UFC, and I cover the NHL, and part of my WWE coverage consists of hosting for the Wrestling Compadre Slamcast.
Awesome. How many marriage proposals do you get a week?
Oh, no, none. Back when I worked for the Kings, though, because I used to be an in-arena host for the Kings, and we would do live hosting in the arena, and during or after like a on-ice game, if there was a guy contestant that I had to interview, a few times they've been like, hey, you want to go on a date? Like, in front of 18,000 people. So that's the closest I've gotten to a marriage proposal.
Yeah.
And then I would awkwardly be like, no, I gotta go home and watch Netflix with my cats.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. I was just curious because
No,
you're supposedly the thing that doesn't exist.
Oh.
Right.
You know?
Unicorn.
Us geeky girls that like sports, we're not real.
It's not like
Doing it for attention.
It's not like I have UFC football season tickets or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not like what's going on my TV right now.
No.
Nope, it's fine.
Sports, the sports.
Sports
We
ball.
are not real.
Don't exist. So we're moving on to our first section, which is Newsflash. Good job, everybody. You're so participatory. We're going to start off with really sad news so that all the rest of our news
We're gonna bring you down.
sounds better. Right, we're going to raise you back up. Alexis Arquette passed away. So one of you guys want to talk a little bit more about who she is and her legacy or any movies she was in? Because you know me, I don't watch movies.
I loved her in The Wedding Singer. Oh, do you remember where
Yeah.
her funky hair pulled over to the side and just singing in the microphone? And man, it's just really sad. She was 47 years old. She was
very young.
Too young.
Yeah.
Very, very young. The rumor is that it was complications due to AIDS, which is just so sad and really makes you think, like, it's 2016, we need to get some cures going. I know people are trying, and there's funds that are dedicated towards trying to find cures for things like that, but this just really shows you, like, man, when's it gonna stop?
Yeah.
Nobody is safe.
Nobody's
so
safe. It's true. Anybody can get it. So remember to wear condoms, kids.
absolutely.
Wrap
Please.
Wrap it all the way up.
All
Wrap
the
it
time.
all the way
Several
up.
times.
All the time.
If need be.
Use a trash bag.
So, poor little looker out. An awesome life. There was a little bit of controversy because originally her brother misgendered her. Transitioning is apparently a very complicated thing. I don't think any of us are experts on it, so we won't seek to really dive deep into that. But there are people who are experts on it, who are writing articles, who are talking about it. And I always believe in seek first to understand, second to be understood. It doesn't really matter what your opinion on someone's gender or sexuality is. How about you just listen to whatever they have to say to you? So.
Yeah. And, like, Alexis was one of the first, like, openly trans celebrities that I remember anyways. And so it's, she's very talented, and it's a shame. But, we will remember her fondly, and she's been in a lot of great movies, and, spread some love to everybody, make sure you
Right, that's
pay
what
attention to
2016 has taught us more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Really?
Hold your goddamn loved ones close.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is the
2016
damn
was coming for you.
Reaper, the damn Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper is just racking up. So moving on to happy news.
Oh, boy.
Backlash! Backlash
Yay!
is yesterday. So anyone not in the know, this is our special wrestling episode. We totally forgot to tell you what the topic of the day was.
We just hope you keep listening and
We're
find
like,
out.
it's fine.
Go with us, go on this
It's fine.
journey.
Just go with it, man. So this is our wrestling episode. A lot of you have requested it once you discovered that I liked wrestling. And you discovered that I liked wrestling because I finally got the WWE Network, which kind of changed my life.
Oh, girl!
It really did. I was like, $10 a month? I could do that.
All the wrestling you'd ever want.
Right. All of the old... Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. But this was the first separate brands pay-per-view of the year. So this was for SmackDown. I had to burp because I've been drinking a little bit. So there were some interesting matches and some interesting outcomes. Do you ladies have anything in particular you wanted to highlight?
Oh, man. Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
By all means.
Randy Orton getting his ankle slammed in the door by Bray Wyatt to then make him unavailable to have his match, so then Kane comes out. That was a little weird. So for people that don't know who we're talking about, Randy Orton's one of the biggest stars on SmackDown Live, and he was unable to participate in his match. And it's like, why? What? And they apparently knew he was injured before this happened, and we're still televising promos 3 weeks ahead for this match to happen.
Right. So, and even night of, they were still showing the promos. So obviously...
We got swerved.
Yes, we did get swerved.
Yeah.
In their head, this made sense of like, oh, he can't fight. Instead of, maybe they were like hoping he would be okay by then, and that's why they didn't...
more eyes, because he's still so big. If they said he's not going to wrestle,
right.
Some people might not
That is possible, because it is SmackDown, and they don't have as many like high-tier people. That's definitely a possibility.
Not, active currently. He's probably filming a movie.
Right. So that does make sense. Their decision to have Kane.
He's still here.
Yeah. Still here.
More power to him. Like,
you know what's a little frustrating about that match is we had Kane and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, the creepy dudes.
And imagine what could have been done if that had been planned properly, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, maybe we know Randy Orton might not be able to do it. Let's plan a backup. Not just who he's going to fight, but what could happen. Like, what if we had some real mystic, weird, or creepy stuff actually occur, like, back in the day? That would have been so exciting.
And I'm a big proponent of bringing back that weird, magical hoodoo kind of, like, thing. And, I mean, now that Finn Balor, poor injured Finn Balor is there, and he has the Demon King. Like, I was like, this is a great opportunity to have. You know, you always had your like kind of witch doctor-y kind of dude. You had your like undead kind of guy. You already had these like
you had Undertaker kidnapping people, right? Yeah. And what Bray was doing with the New Day, I thought was so interesting and fun to like get back to this sort of like super camp version of wrestling, which oddly enough turned the New Day into more serious people, which was just like an exciting little situation.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's not gonna happen anymore. They're split up. Their brands are split up. Like, okay, you're gonna fight Kane. Like, do something with that.
Throw spikes of fire.
Right.
Or have a hologram appear.
Yes.
Something scary.
Holographic Undertaker.
Yeah. Have Bray decide that his demon is stronger than the demon Kane and have some weird thing go on where he thinks he's like praying or talking or doing. No. It was just, I'm a god. And I wanted, if you played Mass Effect, you guys know the I am a bionic god bit, which is like this little roly-poly guy who like gets high off some magic. He's like, oh, I'm a bionic god. That's all I can think about.
That's Bray Wyatt.
I am a bionic god. Anyway, that was the biggest what of the night.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the Usos heel turn.
Oh, that was the best!
Super good.
Yes.
They look like little ninjas now. Little hip hop ninjas. Like the baggy. What do they call those pants with a drop crotch?
I don't even know. I'm not fashionable enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see them come out. They're not doing their haka. They're not colorful. They're just looking like they're all business. And I was like, how you doing? And then when they were like sitting in the corner, like, you guys are so evil now.
Yeah.
It's great.
They
really embraced that heel turn. They could have come out with their, like you said, their colors and even their face paint and stick to the same look, but they totally didn't. They went to the dark side 100%, and that's what you need to do with a heel turn. You really got to embrace it and make the most of it, and boy, did they ever. They didn't even come out dancing.
Nope.
They, like, slinked down the ramp to the ring, which was like, oh, yes, you're doing it.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
Because I think there's a lot of gray area dudes and a lot of heels, but there's not a lot of, like far heel, far face.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I liked having, like really clearly defined.
Like Ambrose toes the line a little
Yeah.
bit, but,
I like having that.
That's great.
I do think it's something weird that has happened with heels since back in the day, which is that a lot of them don't give their reasoning or like have any sort of story behind being a heel. And so I think them like, messing up American Alpha the night before, like, cool, yeah, but like, really, but why?
Right.
I would love them to be like, we're tired of you bringing on these other newer tag teams. See what?
Yeah, there was a thing they ran in. I think it was the after show.
Yeah.
They showed a clip of it where they came in and it's like, yeah, basically it's like we're tired of not getting pushed to the forefront when we're one of the preeminent tag teams. We don't give we don't care about anybody. We'll stomp anybody out. And I was like,
right. That's what you need to tell a story, but I do feel like putting things on after shows and other shows, it takes away from
it's
that.
It's too much.
Yeah, like I can't watch wrestling for 5 hours a day, guys. I'm sorry.
That leaves too much responsibility to us, and I'm not very responsible.
So that's right.
If you want me to take it onto my own abilities to get that done and watch that, it's not going to happen all the time.
And so instead, a lot of times we're relying on the commentators to say stuff to let us know what's going on with the story.
Sure.
So, but they were playing it so well that I think this is something they should stick with for a while.
It'll be good. And also I like that they're rebuilding up the tag teams because that was kind of, you really only had like 2 or 3 tag teams, like official, that made sense floating around at a given point in time. So now that, now we're getting more established and like dudes with like actual gimmicks and like things together, and I love tag teams.
Yeah, they really definitely needed to beef it up.
Speaking of tag teams, what do you guys think about Slater Rhino?
Woo! I mean, Slater's got a job now, which is amazing.
Slater's got that double wide job.
He can get that double wide. He can feed his kids. I think that's a really sweet tag team. I did not see that coming. Like if you asked me who I was predicting to win that match was not them, I jokingly said them on the podcast, and it ended up being them.
Yeah, right.
But that's cool. They obviously have some trust and want to invest in them.
And it was a great story execution. Like it's there's a lot of problems with stories kind of futzing at the end for various reasons, and so having that sort of. And like Slater's been sort of weird heels, like second banana heel, like third banana heel. Sometimes not even like on the second position.
Damn, Slater.
I know, and he's like he's been jobbing for so long.
Oh yeah.
And so it's nice to really like have this build up and really get him some positive momentum to be like a face now. So I think that was very well handled.
As somebody who's not as big into the SmackDown roster as most people are, and as someone who doesn't give a fuck about Slater's family, this was really hard for me because I thought American Alpha, I find them so entertaining to watch, and there's a part of me that really would have liked to see them versus the Usos. But at the same time, I feel like this leaves them open for a whole big bout of rivalry. It makes sense. But, like, I just couldn't get behind Slater. I don't care. And I'm like, Rhino not talking, also just, like, being the guy. I'm like, you are, like, 2 annoying people thrown together who won a match. And then that made me realize I'm real petty. Because I really do prefer if you look nice. Like, Dean Ambrose, never get behind that man because his hair is so bad. Like, I can't stand his hair, and I will never support him as a wrestler until he fixes it. So that was my own personal flaw. And
he's got good hair at least, so maybe that's a good. There's a win. There's a small win.
Yeah, there's a small win in there.
There is a small win.
Sorry, what was that? He's got a little this action. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about the women's match further on because our main topic is actually about women in wrestling. We got a little specific. But was there anything else before we move on from Backlash that was exciting? Like we had AJ finally winning.
That was great. Yeah, I mean I think him beating Dean Ambrose was huge because Dean kind of ever since that Stone Cold podcast that he was a guest on, Stone Cold said he was resting on his laurels, and then you started to see that. You started to see him turn into the not so crazy person, and you're like, wait, what is happening? You're the champion. Take it and run with it, and he just didn't, and it got taken away from him. So that was interesting.
Right.
Very interesting.
Definitely. And that makes AJ Styles like, is he the only person who's held all of those championships on one body?
I think so.
He's been the champion a lot.
I think he only needs one more to complete the set.
Just like have every championship possible as a wrestler. That man is phenomenal.
You don't say.
The Miz.
Yes.
Oh, right.
The Miz wrestling with Dolph Ziggler. I was like, Diggler is not his name. I call him Diggler all the time in my head because it's funny, but you can't say that out loud.
Sounds like the Pokemon.
It is the Pokemon. I'm like, haha, Diggler. It's Diglett, but like, Diggler. The type of wrestling The Miz was doing was very interesting to me. He wasn't like doing any kind of crazy flying through the air or like stunning, like, whoa, how did he do that kind of thing. He wasn't flying through the ropes, but he was just doing these very specific moves that, you know, looked like they hurt. I don't know if they hurt. I haven't been putting any of those moves. So I kind of appreciated that he's still kind of a coward in a way.
Well, yeah, that's definitely his brand. Like, that's the characterization is for sure, like, you know, he, look at me and look at my face and I'm so good, don't hit me. Like he's like really like that, and that's, I mean, he's very good at that character. It's an excellent character. Whether or not this will, like, because there was a time period where I feel like he was getting over a lot more than he is now. So whether or not he can use this to, like, catapult to that, you know.
Right, and having Maurice just like spray some pepper spray at the end to win the fight felt very retro to me. I was like, what year is this?
Yeah, it was like Scary Sherry almost. Yeah, like really like legit like throwback. Which I appreciate. Like, that's all the stuff that, like, I appreciate that kind of, like, you know, if we're gonna have interference. If we're gonna have interference, I prefer that kind of like valet stuff more so than like random dudes running it for no reason.
I can agree with that, definitely.
I do think the moves were interesting, though, and especially at the very beginning. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the first 10 seconds, in my personal opinion, and even a few people on Twitter thought this, it looked like a reenactment of the CM Punk Mickey Gall fight. It was an immediate takedown, some ground and pound, and then into a choke hold. So it was literally like, I thought in my head, and I verbalized, I was watching with Scott, my co-host, and I said to him, oh my god, that's the fight from last night. What? And then a few people on Twitter were like, what'd you think about that?
I saw that too.
Yeah. That was very, very interesting, speaking of his change of moveset.
Undercover shout-out?
Yeah, or a big...
middle finger?
Yeah, we don't know.
Right, because he was also middle fingering Daniel Bryan.
With those moves,
right.
So.
Definitely. There was one other thing that made me think of... Nope, it's gone. Okay, well, we'll talk about it if it comes back.
It might come back.
It might. So moving on to, wow, we're only on our end of our news segment. CM Punk. Now, this might be something you could talk a lot about, since you know about the UFC.
Yeah.
CM Punk went and he fought. He achieved his dream. He got to fight in the UFC. And then, you know, there was an interesting turnout, so...
He, for those of you that don't know, was a former WWE wrestler. He wrestled with the company for years and years. He was one of their most popular wrestlers, and he had a pretty messy divorce from them. He wanted more. He felt like he just wasn't getting what he needed to at that time, and he left, and he wanted to pursue a dream in the UFC. He only had very minimal jiu-jitsu experience, and when fighters first heard that he wanted to participate, they were very against it. There was a lot of backlash, no pun intended. Hey, bring it back. And it was interesting, but they documented his whole journey. They had a documentary series out on Fox called The Evolution of Punk. And you got to see him training. He worked really hard, but that didn't pay off. When he got in the ring, even though he's facing Mickey Gall, who is a rookie, this guy has under 5 fights under his belt, and he just got destroyed. He held his own for a little bit, and he survived at least a little over 2 minutes.
I was going to say, it was under 3 minutes.
It was a brutalizing pummeling, but the fact that he did that was all that he wanted to do. It didn't matter if he won or lost. He said the second he steps in the octagon, he already won. So at the end, he gave this great speech. He teared up and really kind of wanted people to realize, like, you can do whatever you want to do. You can live your dreams. You can be whatever you want to be. You just have to do it.
Right.
So.
Definitely. His speech is transcribed on various websites if you'd actually like to read it, or you can listen to it either way. But, yep, basically just saying, hey, do your dreams, kid.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and what I thought was really weird was sort of a lot of people were like, ha, 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 he lost. And I'm like, well, I mean, like, that happens.
Yeah, right, this isn't Rocky.
Yeah,
right?
Well, no, and it is exactly Rocky, because he went and he trained, and then he lost.
Then he lost. You're right.
And everybody got behind him.
I haven't seen Rocky!
Spoiler alert.
It's okay.
Okay, this isn't Creed. You know, it's not one of those movies where it's like, oh, somebody who deserves it is gonna win.
Yeah, like someone that you're emotionally backing.
It doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
You can try really hard and still fail at a thing, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to do that thing.
Yes. And I mean, like, I it's anybody who tries to do that, I have great respect for. It's physically.
Just looking at his ear made me not want to get in the octagon.
I already got that cauliflower ear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
First fight. That's lovely.
Yeah. So I have a lot of respect for him. I thought he did, as best as you can. And you can't win everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's
true.
What are you gonna do? Just gonna not try?
Right.
And then
Exactly.
be sad forever.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid, kids. All right, so we're moving on to.
Yeah, so
there's a cat here.
Yeah.
We're moving on.
I'm so excited.
Oh no, he's gonna run away. Chick picks. So for anyone new listening for the first time, chick picks are where we recommend something by, for, or about a woman for you guys to go check out. This time, I think I picked somebody a little on topic. Naomi was my chick pick, and I'd like you to follow her on Twitter. I will post her link in the description.
She does.
But her glow entrance is giving me goddamn life. Every time I watch SmackDown just for her.
Yeah.
Like, what is she gonna do today? How is she going to slay today? She's just a phenomenal looking athlete. And I get joy out of watching her. See, we should show her a lot of support and a lot of love because y'all know, we ain't gonna say it straight up on here, but y'all know there's some things that are gonna hold Naomi back from ever being at the tippity top. And if we can show that she's very popular and give her a lot of support, perhaps we can overcome that.
She's the best.
She's so good.
Oh, I loved her neon green hair and the outfits this past pay-per-view.
Ah.
Holy smokes.
Just the flipping.
Yeah. And the music.
Yeah.
She just like slid down on her knees. Nobody else is doing this.
We got a whole performance before anything even happened in the ring.
It's a
That's great.
production, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you giving me a production.
Oh, yeah.
Like, having climbed into a ring like once, watching her leap into a ring, I'm like, this is the strongest woman I've ever seen.
Leap into a ring and then immediately hit the knees and get that good hair flip, that good hair swing.
Oh,
Good old Dutchy
hair
line
swing.
out of
she's
it.
got it going on.
She's so good. She's so good. My thing, because I'm next. Hi. So we have the Saturday Nights with a K Kickstarter.
Nights,
and,
get it?
Yeah, Nights.
Good night.
And that Kickstarter is basically, it's a video game that they're building with indie wrestlers with a couple women in there. They're really great. It looks like it's going to be really fun and very cool. So we will also have those links over there, and so you can check it out and see if you want to throw in a little cat.
Awesome cash.
Very cool. Is it my turn now?
Yes.
It's your turn.
Okay, well, my pick was for you guys to follow Becky Lynch on Twitter. She is the new and first ever SmackDown Live Women's Champion. She had a heck of a match on the Backlash pay-per-view, and she's just really inspiring. She loves women's wrestling more than anybody, maybe even more than Sasha Banks. I'm not sure, but
Perhaps.
she's a great follow, and she's very active on social media. So if you tweet something at her, sometimes she'll retweet it or respond or at least favorite. So that's a good celebrity, you know.
Yes, you
Good on
should
her.
follow her. Even though she didn't respond to my suggestion that she play in a D&D game with Xavier and
I spoke too soon.
Great Black Otaku and Ember Moon. But it's cool. I'm gonna keep working on that idea. WWE, hire me. I'll be the DM. It'll be a big hit. You'll
I'll
see.
retweet you. Okay, you got my vote.
Aw. See? Winning. That's how Sarah won the votes. So go check those folks out. We will have the link in the description. If you're listening on iTunes or All Games, you'll want to go to our Twitter to get those links. And now it is time for Heads Up, Woman Up. And Tamara, I forgot to teach you that part. I apologize. Next time. So as I said, our theme is women in wrestling, and so we're going to talk a little bit about the evolution, a little bit about how we got into liking wrestling, some of the women we look up to, and then some of the stuff we've seen recently that affects women in wrestling. So first, I wanted to ask for you two, whoever wants to go first, how you got into wrestling, and then who your first favorite women's wrestler was.
Well, I started watching it because it came on at the end of the day with cartoons. So it's like, you get up stupidly early, earlier than you would ever get up to go to school, to watch cartoons all day, and then wrestling would come on afterwards. And so I kind of started watching there, and then I would kind of lose it and go back and forth and pick it up and and see who, The Rock pulled me back in. And
She
so
pulled me.
yeah. And then so it goes through these cycles where I'm like super into it, and then I like fade back a little. But I always like watching the female wrestlers because it's like, you know, you don't get to see sort of that physicality and like kind of quasi superheroics. You know, I mean, like they do a lot of amazing athletics. So that was the thing that I also enjoyed the theatrics of it all. I enjoy a lot of spectacle. So yeah, and so like who are my favorites through the years? I mean, obviously you have to appreciate Lita and all.
Hands down.
Yeah. And, you know, like...
Lita look good nowadays, too. Shout out to that MILF.
Yeah. Seriously. She's a babe.
Laid. So, I mean, just a lot, like, you know, there was a slightly dark period, personally, for wrestling to me, where it's like, I like there to be, like, a mix of people where it's like, oh, you know, you're maybe a little bit there more for the visuals, but you're still athletic, and that's cool. And then you had your people who were just, like, crazy and doing, you know, jumping off of the top of cages and stuff. But then it just really, like, I'm just going to go on. Divas is the dark time.
Divas is the dark time. We'll talk more about that when the evolution part happens.
Yeah, but you know, like, so it was like, you know, you'd have one or two people who just kind of didn't get anything because they weren't poster material, and it just was really depressing.
Right.
But, I digress. So I like that. I used to, there's a show called Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling that I like to try and find pieces of it and watching, which is basically an all-female wrestling league. It was like late 80s, early 90s. They had like skits in and everything like that. The opening was wrapped with varying degrees of success. But it had like all kinds of characters. There were two definite camps. There was faces and heels, and like one of the heels they had Hollywood and Vine, and you know there was.
I lived there.
The faces, there was Mount Fuji and Little Fuji. Mount Fuji was this like really like spectacularly large Samoan woman, or maybe not Samoan, she might be Fujian. Oh, offensive.
Who knows?
Sorry. Pacific Islander.
I don't know.
Because, you know, they'll cast people and
right,
do
okay,
something
yeah,
different.
No, they do that all the time. We're like, oh, this is a Japanese sumo wrestler from Samoa.
Like, yeah, exactly. So, yes, so there's...
Kofi Kingston.
Yes, from
Jamaica.
Yeah. And then, like, Little Fuji, which was, you know, her sister in the show, was, like, a tinier one. And, like, it was I highly recommend... that should have been my treatment, but I highly recommend you going and watching Some Old Glow, because it's...
Say what it's called again?
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, Glow. Yeah, so yeah, find that. I think they have an official site. There's a documentary that they made about the show, which may or may not be on Netflix. But anyways, sorry.
Keep jumping
exciting.
ahead.
I know, I'm sorry. Okay, let's stop talking now.
Good, excellent.
Well, I have a little bit of a different story. So I grew up with 4 brothers, and they watched wrestling growing up. So I have memories of glancing at the television and seeing Miss Elizabeth. Glancing at the television and seeing Sable or seeing China, and I remember thinking, oh, that's cool, that's really cool. But I also remember, turn the damn TV off, I want to watch some whatever the heck, Doug funny cartoons.
Like, Doug, what is this wrestling bullshit?
What is this wrestling bullshit? And I really truly wasn't into it back then. Like my brothers would like do the figure 4 on me, and I'd get put in headlocks, and I was like, screw this sport, this is awful, I always get hurt, this is terrible. And then when I hit 23, I'm 28 now, so about 5 years ago, I went to a SummerSlam here in Los Angeles and completely re-immersed myself for really the first time into this sport, and fell in love with the storylines, fell in love with the characters, fell in love with the athleticism. I could take away that whole like, oh, wrestling isn't real thing, because I'm an adult and I didn't have that distortion of reality. I knew it wasn't. I knew it was a performance.
Right.
At the time I was going to the Groundlings, so I loved the improvising in it. I just identified with all these different things in there. So the love began later than most people, but I'm very open about that, and that's what I feel like when people find out, you know, this backstory to me, it makes a lot of sense with my current knowledge and not so much of my historical knowledge.
Right.
But when I started watching, really loved AJ Lee, which is CM Punk's wife, April Brooks, and she was just this little terrorizer. But she didn't wear, like, the bikinis and stuff that, like, girls back in the day used to. She'd wear, like, a tank top and jean shorts with high-top Converse. Like, that was so cool. And she wasn't this, like, sex symbol. She was this little crazy badass chick who just wanted to beat people up, and I just thought that was rad. And then the Bella Twins, I think they really came into their own, and they kind of survived the whole divas to women's title transitioning, or women's division, And I really like the rise of Nikki Bella. So I feel like she's just such a badass chick too, and she's someone that I really, really like. Yeah.
So for me, the first interactions with wrestling were when I was too young to even remember anything but Hulk Hogan. And I remember being like 5 years old. This is terrible. And I was at the neighbor boy's house, and they used to wrestle on the bed, and they had like a little Hulk Hogan.
Were you at my house?
Maybe.
Okay.
Did one of your brothers kiss me?
Damn it, Cameron!
I say this because it's gonna come back up at the end of my story. But the storyline was always, I wasn't one of the wrestlers. I was like a prize for the person who won the wrestling match got to kiss me. I'm 5, by the way. They were like 6 or 7. But anyway, this is what people got out of wrestling. We can get back to that. So when I was a little kid, eventually started had my own TV in my room, was able to watch wrestling and everything. I love China. I looked at China and I was like, this is a woman who can fight men. Mm-hmm. And like the low blow, like as a little baby feminist, like that was like, I was like, I'm gonna low blow the shit out of everybody. I did it like once to my nephew, and my mom was like, he might never have children. And I was like, okay, I can't low blow people. And I stopped. But China was like my idol when I was little. And I just loved that in addition to just being strong and really tough, she was also allowed to be sexy. Mm-hmm. Because that's something that I even noticed as a little kid. It's like you're either a petite or buxom like lady, he's coming for you.
We have a cat. There's a cat.
This is so weird that he loves Tamara and like jumps in her lap. He doesn't do that to anyone else.
Oh my god.
I love your boobs. Yeah. But like kind of stronger masculine looking women like China didn't normally get to be considered sexy. Like in a movie or a show, she wouldn't be a sex symbol. Yeah. But because of Eddie and this whole Mamacita thing, she was still sexy. So both of those things really got to me. But then I stopped watching wrestling because, I think China went away or something happened. Like I barely remember this because I was a kid. And all of the storylines with women were just terrible. Women were like secretaries. Vince McMahon was kissing people. They were
in bathtubs.
Right. Braun panty matches.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the Fabulous Moolah came back on and then showed her boobs. It was like a weird
lots of nip slips.
Time.
Yeah.
So I fell off from wrestling because, back to me being a little girl and being the prize, is women in wrestling that I had experienced were not the cool wrestlers. Yeah. They were the valets and these little stories. Mm-hmm. But what I did love about wrestling was the stories that the guys had. Yeah. Again, The Rock, oh my god. Yeah. He's definitely kept me into wrestling way longer than I would have been if he wasn't there. Yeah. So I wanted to bring that up because I feel like everyone has their own personal way that they got to wrestling. Oh, and of course, I fell off of wrestling and didn't get back into it until I moved out here because I never had no money for TV. Yeah. I couldn't watch things.
When did you move here?
5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So in college and everything, I had the Food Network. That was what I could watch. I didn't even have Netflix. I had somebody. No, I didn't even have someone else's Netflix till I moved out here. I was definitely TV wasn't a priority though because I.
You know what's rough when you don't have someone else's
Netflix.
Yeah,
I got that when I got out here. Get your butt out of people's faces. We're trying to have a podcast.
I'm having a great time.
I'm so happy I can offer you this luxury as a guest in my home.
For people that are just listening, there is a cat going from girl to girl
to
girl right now. It is wonderful.
I bet you're very confused by the jingling.
If you hear the jingling, this is the noise of Bailey.
It's not Sarah getting ready for Christmas.
Sarah calls us outside, girls.
Yeah, the thing that I remember distinctly, even though I was a kid, when I kind of stopped watching wrestling, because I used, every week, it was when they were just getting into, the Attitude Era, and the Rockers broke up by, Shawn Michaels super kicking his partner, betraying him in the middle of the match, and I was like, no, I'm not like this, I'm out. Yep. Good day, sir, good day.
Good day. I say good day.
I was very horrified.
There was something else, apparently I missed this, but going back, even during this time, was it Edge and was it Lita had sex in a bed in the middle of the ring? Yeah. And the commenters were commentating the sex. When he started going down, he's like, where is he going? Where is he going? Yep. He's heading down south. And I'm just like,
what is that?
That is still talked about as what were we thinking?
Yes.
Essentially.
So with that in mind, I have a theory, but I would love to know what you guys think. There's a lot of geek women that like wrestling. Mm-hmm. Do you have any theories as to why, considering this is supposed to be such a guy's thing?
Maybe the storylines, because think about all the geekdom stuff that we love. Everything has a story, whether it's a comic book or a video game. There's some sort of fantasy or something that's no, non-fiction. Fictional. It's all non-fiction. No, something fictional that we can watch and kind of grasp. So it's like real life kind of geeky storylines for us that, but it's with humans, so it's cool.
I used to call it like soap operas, but with fighting.
Yeah.
So it was better than a soap opera. And like hot guys, too.
Like just totally cool people. They make it really interactive. Like you kind of feel like you're a part of something when you're watching it, and then when you see other people, like it's like if you see someone wearing a Thor t-shirt and you love Thor, you're a part of something. So when you see someone wearing an Austin 316 t-shirt, you're like, oh yeah, we know what's up. So it just kind of, you feel part of the culture of WWE, and then just following those storylines. I mean, as a geek, what's better than a good story?
I mean, like basically what she was saying, and you have these battles of good versus evil.
Yeah.
Even though they were a lot clearer, like in the 80s and stuff. But like the good versus evil thing, we didn't have live action superhero stuff for the most part.
China was a superhero.
China was a superhero.
She was Xena to me.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan was like a superhero. I don't imagine, and they're all doing the Undertaker. Literally
magical bad guy.
One of the best gimmicks ever.
Yeah, I loved him.
History of all time. And so you just have these like bigger than life characters doing these crazy things that you as a normal everyday person, like doing like a hurricane off a top rope makes no sense to me. I don't understand how people can do that stuff. I mean, but it's a thing that people physically can do. So these are real life superheroes.
And it's live too, which is so cool because you don't get that with any other TV show you watch. Like say if you are a Xena fan, it's not live. Xena's not live.
Don't you tell me that. She's live. She lives in my heart.
But WWE is live, so that's even more of the draw and allure for me anyway.
Definitely. So that's just to say, for anyone listening who maybe hasn't run into women who like wrestling, I think we're here first of all, and I think it's also pretty easy to get women into wrestling. Like any woman who likes sports or who likes superheroes or comics or any of these things, like it might just be that she's been told it's not for her. Right. So if you have a friend you want to get into wrestling, just like pick one of the great episodes or just have her tune in to anytime now. Like storylines are still pretty cool.
Borrow your WWE network.
Right, don't borrow mine. Get somebody else's and dive in. So speaking of Glow, because we mentioned it earlier, we kind of said what it was, but it is indeed coming to Netflix. And it's going to be executive produced by Genji Kohan, who did Orange is the New Black. So I just think it's going to be really interesting at the same time that the WWE is touting the women's evolution, at the same time that women wrestlers are really at a forefront as athletes for, the first time in America, really, that we're also going to get this show soon. I think it says a lot about the changing perceptions about women wrestlers.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense, too, because it's like, if you think about who were the kids when these shows were on, and now we're, they're in positions of actually being able to produce content. So, why not go back to Glow? I actually met a couple of the wrestlers from Glow at a con. I was walking by, and they were sitting there, and I just went, I just had a moment. Wow. And I was talking to them, I was like, oh my God, you guys are so cool. Like, I just was like, I had that moment.
Right.
I had that moment.
That's so special.
And I just was like, and then I had to run away because you get that thing where you're like, and I have to walk away now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay. Even famous people get that way.
Yeah. So I just was like, you guys are so cool.
Cool.
And then
That's awesome that
so good.
We'll be able to watch it on Netflix because hearing you talk about it, I haven't seen it personally, and it sounds.
It's awful and great.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I love awful and great things, so that's rad.
Jackie Stallone was on the show for a while too as one of the managers. It was great.
I'll post I think we can I'll find one video that kind of like encapsulates. I can't say that word right now. All right, I'll stop.
Encapsulates.
Bailey didn't like
it. I scared him.
He was like, who the just touch me. The vibe of it, and I'll also put it in the description. I'll put it in the description. So speaking of Glow, there were also some other non-WWE options if you want to see some awesome women wrestlers such as Shimmer.
Yeah, and then I have a sister, sort of organization called Shine. So it's Shimmer and Shine.
Now, did Ember Moon come from Shimmer?
I believe it was Shimmer, yes.
I believe so as well. And if you guys
Ember
haven't
Moon is
seen her, she is dope. She's basically like an evil Mortal Kombat character who also does the Sailor Moon sign on her face all the time, so we know she's like legit geek.
Yeah.
And she looked so strong. She's on NXT. I'm really excited. I think they're going to send her Asuka. I don't know how to say her name right.
Asuka, yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Almost.
Because I think she's got that same level of badass, like, I'm just real strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to see strong with the K.
Got some strongs.
Got some strong. So, you mentioned AJ Lee.
Yes.
And I kind of want to go back to that because there was, for any of you who have WWE Network, there was a little show called Women's Evolution, I think it was called. And it was about the women's evolution in wrestling from divas to women's superstars now, to just superstars, not even with the women part.
Yeah.
And while it was really awesome, really cool, really inspiring and everything, AJ Lee was not mentioned in it at all as having anything to do with that change. And I thought that was very interesting considering, as you mentioned, she came out in a tank top and shorts. Like, she was one of the first women to be like, nah.
Actually,
not in the bikini. Yeah.
I think it's kind of shitty, actually. I'm just going to go as far as to call that out as being just straight up shitty. Because it really was, like, she really was, like, kind of the torchbearer of this sort of thing. And also, like, you know, they had Nikki hold the title for longer, kind of out of spite.
Just
so she
to make sure,
have that record anymore, which, I mean, like, I get it. Like, there's, you know, stuff happens, and if someone's not in there anymore, it's kind of weird to still have them have records, but, like, I don't feel like they, like, hardcore erased people like this as much, like, in the past. It's kind of weird.
It's like what they did to Hatshepsut, trying to carve her name off the hieroglyphics and chop her nose off for sphinxes. Sorry, that was a deep dive into history. I'm just saying.
That is weird, though. And that kind of leaves it up to us to speak out and remember her as something like that, like I just did. And, man, that does bum me out. I didn't know that she wasn't even mentioned in it. Yeah. So man.
They say it was all the Bella twins that sparked the change.
Not accurate.
Right. So, but I don't want to take away from what a good little show that is, by the way, though. So if you guys do have an opportunity to watch it, you should, because it still does explain a lot and kind of give you some background into why you should care about these women athletes and just how much work they put in as well. But yeah, that was kind of disappointing to see.
Maybe do some detective work and watch some old Bella Twins and AJ Lee matches and then decide for yourself how you feel about her participant.
Participation.
Participation.
We all get stickers.
Words.
Words mean things.
It's the motto.
So one of the hardest things I think about that transition, though, has been as women wrestlers are, like, kicking ass, taking names, and being able to do their own stunts and look awesome and not just be eye candy, injuries have become, like, a real big deal. Like, even in that video, I think like, 50% of the women shown are, like, not currently wrestling.
Oh,
like, Team Bad was shown, and, you know, Paige was in there a lot, and even the Bella Twins, of course, were featured. So it was like a lot of women who were like, oh my, I got hurt. So it's like we're seeing an increase in injuries, which keeps them out. And when you're a wrestler and you're not in the spotlight, it becomes really hard to keep up your momentum, like with Paige. You had some stuff to say about Paige, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, as we were talking about her before we hit record, and she is dating one of the superstars that just got released from WWE. His name's Alberto Del Rio. And just all speculation that WWE split them up in the draft, put one on SmackDown, one on Raw, and Paige was slowly and not on TV as often, and people were thinking, oh, it's an injury, and then all of a sudden there was a wellness policy violation, and then all of a sudden there's rumors that she's going to be leaving. And it's like, is this because of her relationship with him?
Because supposedly there was also a rumor that someone backstage straight up told her, like, you need to stop being in a relationship with him or it's going to affect you.
Which is horrible.
Right.
As a human. Like, would anyone say that to one of the guys that works there?
You have to wonder.
Like,
it's
especially
really strange.
Considering who runs the show now.
Right.
Irony.
And the more they leave it up to speculation, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like that happens with their wellness policies in general as well. Like, you had 3 superstars all fail their wellness policy at the same time, which was Eva, Paige, and Del Rio. I understand, like, for their privacy, not, like, explaining exactly to people what happened, but I do feel like just leaving this blanket term leaves us all to be like, did they
What did you do?
Like, right, did they have a cocaine party that night? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think having some more clarity about what counts as being a problem with the wellness policy would really, like, even if you don't get to know, oh, this is what happened, it could be, here is a very specific list of things it could possibly be, would help with some of the speculation.
Because why even say it was a wellness policy?
Exactly.
Violation. That kind of doesn't make a sense.
If you're gonna go ahead and say that there's a wellness policy that these athletes have to abide by, then treat it like any other sports team or sports organization would. Treat it like the UFC. Deliberately, like, publicize what it was that they violated, or just don't have it at all and treat them as actors who are athletic performers and let them smoke weed or let them,
I do wonder, like, can they smoke weed? This is
I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know what the parameters are.
Is.
But I think if you're going to have something like that, kind of emulate a different sport that's also doing it, and then give some clarity. It would be cool. I'm acting like, you know, the WWE is just listening.
Of
Give
course
some
they're
clarity.
listening. Of course they're listening. Us. We're very important people.
Yes,
We're
no,
women.
of course they are. This show, I'm talking straight to you.
Listen, WWE, just like I told you earlier to put up my D&D show. I know you're listening.
Yay!
So Sasha, interestingly enough, had an injury that had to be kind of put into the storyline. And then Charlotte, bless her heart, swears she's about to give her some more injuries at the last pay-per-view. That drop from the rope, good lord.
Oh boy. A couple of botches there.
Right, that was a hard match to watch because they were trying to do so many cool things, but then I think the big botch made them both very nervous.
Yeah. That's like when you, I was gonna think of something funny.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like when you're riding a bike and then you get a stick in your wheel and you fall over and you're like, should I ride this bike anymore? I don't even know.
If you eat an apple and you find something gross in it, and then every apple,
do I ever want an apple?
Do I want it again? Do I carefully cut?
And then you carefully hold the apple and slam it to the ground.
It's like when you cut yourself shaving and then you do it and then you just keep, and then you don't shave anymore.
I like have cuts on my legs. This is a real thing, men. Go fuck yourselves.
I hate
Things we do for you, or for ourselves, so we can be. So Clash of the Champions was coming up, and we were all led to believe that Sasha was going to announce some bad news. That she couldn't, like, fight anymore and she's going to have to retire. And a lot of people found that to be in bad taste because of the women and men who have had to quit due to injuries. So I also think that was either, like, some tone deaf or some bullshit writing that happened there.
It was very dramatic.
It was.
It was very much a scare, and
she sold it well.
She did sell it well, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, you had to do something with that, and I mean,
she definitely needed to be out for a little bit to heal up because I don't know what was wrong with her, but you know something was wrong with her because that looked like it hurt.
Yeah. Terrible, terrible things. So, along with that, do you guys have anyone who's currently wrestling that you would say is like I'm gonna stand by and say she's the best wrestler in the WWE right now?
Best wrestler in the WWE, probably, I think Bayley is really talented.
Mm-hmm.
She is just so athletic, and she doesn't have to go over the top to be good, and she has really good chemistry with everybody. Like, part of being a good wrestler is making other people around you better as well. Definitely. And she doesn't have to be doing, like, aerial moonsaults to impress the heck out of us. She can just have a damn good match with really good chemistry, and keep the flow going nice, and that's, like, to me, great wrestler right there. But
yeah, she's good. I always like to bring up Natalya because I feel like she's kind of languished for a while with not having anybody in her skill set realm to really do good.
I feel like her and Alicia Fox should be utilized a lot better. Yeah. Like, Alicia Fox looks like she has been wrestling her entire life.
She's been in the WWE for about 10 years.
Right, and she looks like it. She is so smooth, she can make anything look good, and they're just like, nah.
Since WWE's listening,
like, nah, let's talk about Carmella. Like, no, stop it.
Alicia Fox is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can watch her flip people's popcorns and sodas all
Yeah.
day. Like,
Yes.
bring back the crazy Alicia.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, and I feel like, at this point, as my voice cracks because I'm
I
in...
feel like.
when it's time to change. Okay. Like, now that we're at a position where we're taking, and by we I mean the powers that be, are taking women wrestlers a lot more seriously and actually getting women who can do all this stuff. I think now's the time to increase the number of women on a show above 6. So that would be helpful.
Increase the matches.
Increase the matches. Like, have more than one match on every show.
Add some depth.
Have some depth, and then you can have people where it's like, okay, so you have Carmella is not as seasoned as a lot of the other wrestlers, and that's fine. You want to build her up, and that's not a problem. But when you only have these 6 people.
It's not even just only having 6 people. I think 6 people could work fine.
Yeah.
The problem is they're putting them all in one match. And they were doing that over and over and over again. Like, oh, look how many women wrestlers we have on SmackDown. It's like
the same 6.
Right. Like, why don't y'all do 2 matches? Or
give them
like
multiple spots throughout a show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Raw, I think, for a little while was like, oh, look, we have 2 matches a show, but one match would always be like a fake out.
Yeah.
No, it was SmackDown that was doing it too. It was before the brand split, and then it continued. Yeah. Where they would have like, oh, here's the second match, and oh, something happened, and it can actually occur.
Yeah.
Especially
because a lot of these like dude matches are bunk. Like, there's just no I'm sorry. Like, there's some people I just don't care about at this point, and they don't have any momentum currently. And I know you're trying to grow them, but it's like I would rather see these really great women wrestlers and see a second match from them than see like. You
get it. Braun Strowman's gonna squash the next
yeah,
guy that comes out.
that's 3 minutes that we could have. Like
Right.
even if it's a quickie female match, we can have that. Like, I just don't.
And it's also interesting. So I want to bring back the 6-woman match from Backlash.
Yes.
Having a story told completely through commentary or after show things, I don't think is as effective, and I think it was a strange choice. So to have us focus on Carmella and Nikki, right? Like, okay, these 2 are going to do everything. They're going to have this rivalry. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. Nobody else really got a story except I'm hungry for it. That was their story. And then the commentators were the ones having to just say, like, oh, well, she's got to be wanting this since, she's been fighting for... It doesn't feel as real. And so having Becky win at that point didn't even feel satisfactory to me as someone who likes Becky, because I was like, well, dang, you didn't even give her a chance to, like, have a story, and to, like, the way they do with Charlotte, and the way they do it with Bayley, and the way they do with Sasha, where you see them really trying to fight for this thing that they want more than anything else, and they just were not doing that with Becky. They were like, she keeps losing, we don't know why Natalya turned on her, who knows.
And they put her up against Carmella at the very end, who she had 0 storyline with. None. And it was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, wow. What?
It was, and Carmella, bless her heart, she, I get that it's cool to have small wrestlers, not just women, men too, because they can do a lot more, right? Like seeing, I always want to say, is it Alexa Bliss or Alexis Bliss?
Alexa.
Okay, I always go Alexis, and I'm like, I think I'm just mashing her 2 names together. She's teensy, but she is able to do so many cool things because she's small.
Gymnast.
Right, she looks awesome.
Yeah.
But Carmella looks like she weighs 90 pounds wet. So when you put her against, like, Naomi and Becky, instead of putting her against somebody who either is very skilled like Natalya and making people look strong, or somebody like Alexa who's smaller as well, when you put her against in the ring with Naomi and Becky, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
It looks like, how could she even be doing this? I mean, when Kofi would go against bigger guys, he would have to use his, like, brain and his intelligence and other flips to, like, still somehow come out on top.
Right.
And I'm watching Naomi pretend that a clothesline from Carmella could do anything to her. So it was very anticlimactic to have, because we built Carmella as this bad guy, we wanted to fake you guys out with the whole her and the Bella twin coming back thing. This is who Becky has to beat. It was just like...
Yeah, I think it was the cardinal sin of writing of show not tell. So they've been telling us how they all interact, but they haven't been showing us.
Right.
So, and I think that, you and we were saying, like, you can have 6 female wrestlers and make it work if you have them all feuding properly.
Right.
Like, Naomi and Natalya are kind of the obvious match there, because they both they're very strong, they both can do a lot of athletic stuff, and when Naomi hits those kicks, it's so good.
I love
man.
it.
When she throws her booty into the face of whoever.
Oh my god, I would die happy if I could have my face thrown into her booty. I get so distracted. Her and Apollo Crews,
their butts.
when they wrestle, I get so distracted. I'm like, these booties are so nice. Back in the day when Rikishi used to throw some bad booties in people's faces, and now we got Naomi booties. Sign me up.
Yeah, it's not the worst way to go.
Right. So who else would you put? So
I put Naomi and Natalya together.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Carmella and Nikki's already working in that. I mean, it's already put together. That's like kind of the natural thing. So then you would put Alexa and Becky together.
Which I think makes a lot of sense right now.
Yeah.
Alexa seemed to pop a little bit after that match, even though she was the first one tapped out.
Yeah, she's. They should have given her more of a chance in that match, but I mean, even though there was a lack of storyline, they could have done the bare minimum, which was put a veteran against the rookie at the very end. Yeah. But two rookies.
And did anyone even talk or anything? I don't think anyone got on the mic.
She did at the very end. Okay. Becky did, to give kind of a CM Punk kind of speech.
Sure. Right.
And it was meaningful, but at the same time, like, well, you went through Carmella.
Right.
Okay.
And the other problem with like 6-man matches, they're just never as fun as the writers think they might be, because like the way wrestling functions, we need to be able to focus on the big moments.
Right.
And so what always ends up happening is you immediately have like 2 or 3 cool things happen. Then everyone gets knocked out with a concussion for the next 20 minutes on the ground. So Becky also came out of nowhere after not being in the ring for a really long time.
And the solution to that is a Royal Rumble. Like a Royal Rumble style match is the solution, because if you go over the top rope, you're out. You're not laying down half concussed and then coming back
very
in.
tired.
If Becky won in that capacity, that would have been so strong. Wouldn't have mattered who she beat. That means that she would have survived everybody.
I would like.
Oh my God! Can we listen, WWE? I know you're listening. Can we have a Royal Rumble with the women?
Yeah.
Give her the 6-pack tag.
Put Nia Jax in the regular one. Because she's been running through everybody, so you might as well put her with the dudes. Have her eliminate a couple people, and then decide to leave on her own.
Side note, I want to see men and women wrestle each other.
They've
done intergender tags, but only to tag the women and the women,
right.
the men and the men. If anybody here wants to check out any indie wrestling, Candice LeRae, her tag partner Joey Ryan, the two of them tag together and face other male tag partners, and it's insane. Like, she's so athletic and crazy. Yeah. Can you please do that, WWE?
They do that in Japan too.
Oh.
Japan wrestling's real intense, by the way. If you're not okay with seeing some stuff that might make you question if somebody's arms are broken, don't watch it. But you check it out.
But watch it.
Watch it.
But yeah, when Enzo and Sasha and Charlotte and Jericho, that was so exciting. I do wish they could have she's been a pretty big girl. You could have let that just happen.
Yeah, she can at least get a clothesline or something.
And Sasha has the rope skill to do that jump around thing that Enzo has to do when he fights bigger people, and that Kofi has to do when he fights bigger people.
Plus, these guys are really good. There's no way that they would wrestle each other and have somebody be at fault or make something bad happen.
Right.
I feel like you put Chris Jericho with Charlotte, or against each other, or with Sasha or someone.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Actually,
It really
Charlotte
would
and
be.
Jericho.
And I had hopes once I saw Bayley come out with the New Day. Of course, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna do it." We're not gonna do it.
No.
Oh, that was so
But I enjoy that as a pod.
Yes.
I like that.
That
so
level
good.
of positivity in one place is
So
you can feel them vibrating away into the rainbow cloud.
I think you guys gave me an idea for another article for Fox Sports.
Yeah.
The next step is women against men.
Yes. I would like it to have. China used to just go for it. Didn't
Right?
she become the champion?
Intercontinental champion. Yeah.
She was just like, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I would definitely. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So we are coming up on time. Let's do one last little question then. Do you guys? Let's choose. I'll let you guys choose. Would you rather talk about what your entrance song would be if you were a wrestler, or would you rather talk about which wrestlers have the best entrances?
Oh, I think we can agree on who has the best entrance on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Naomi. It's all got. It's all got.
Come on.
It's true.
See, what my entrance song would be, I think it depends on my gimmick.
Right.
Right? So, if I were, sort of, the vanity gimmick. I would use Vanity by Christina Aguilera because I'd just be like coming out of the thing with like mirrors and stuff. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
What else would I do? I don't know. I will let other people answer while I come up with other.
I'm still thinking.
Thoughts. I know.
I either have some sort of old classic like rock and roll song like The Stroke or whatever, or some Pat Benatar.
Yes.
I don't know.
Something upbeat and
Stealing that.
yeah, some 80s going on, or some like really scary like Undertaker hardcore song.
Scandal the Warrior. That would be awesome. She's not hearted, baby. I am the warrior. That would be solid.
Okay, definitely Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heart would also be some
Oh
solid.
yeah.
I had one picked out, and I've completely forgotten it. It's a Caribbean song that describes me
Dollar Wine?
like perfectly. Dollar Wine is the dumbest. Can you imagine? Wait, guys, if you're listening to this, go look up the song Dollar Wine and then imagine me coming out to that song. Dollar, 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 dollar. It would be the dumbest shit in the whole world. It's like
It'd be amazing,
incredibly happy soca calypso song.
I'm gonna bring this up real quick.
Yes, this is Dollar Wine.
Wine.
What was the song?
I don't know. Okay,
Oh man, but that
Who's
makes
it by?
This is interesting. Are you
Maybe
looking
that's
on?
not the title.
No, it is the title. What are you looking on?
Spotify.
Yeah, you will not find it on Spotify. This is an old.
It's
Caribbean
underground.
song.
All right.
Hit that YouTube.
Hang on, I'm gonna bring it up.
Two
Oh,
videos.
boy.
Let's see, what other good... the Anthrax Public Enemy version of Bring the Noise would be excellent.
This is an advertisement.
Yeah, it is. So that would be a good entrance song for somebody. You could also use the theme from Attack on Titan as an entrance. That would be pretty dope.
What was my song? Oh, Wheel and Come Again. It's a Caribbean soca song. It's a St. Lucian song because I am St. Lucian. This is Dollar Wine.
Oh my god. That's a great outro song,
Yeah,
guys. Yay!
Oh. Okay, anyway, guys, go listen to it on your own if you want more. And the dance is very simple. He tells you how to do it. It's just popping your hip in different directions. Listen to the song and figure it out. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Carrlyn Bathe on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and Carrlyn on Snapchat.
And you should spell it out for them, for people listening.
CarrlynBathe. Carrlyn Bathe.
And is there anything else that you're doing that you want to plug or tell them to check out or anything?
Oh boy. I mean, we've got our Wrestling Compadre Slamcast that's on every Wednesday on Fox Sports, and you can find it literally on any podcasting app. And check out our Facebook page, Fox Compadres. You can follow us on Twitter at Fox Compadres. If you like wrestling or liked anything that we talked about today, it's kind of like that. Like, that's what we do.
And funny story about Fox Compadres. Let me tell you how we met. You guys know during Comic-Con I was hanging out with Xavier Woods, and we end up at the weirdest party of my life, a Funko party. I've told you guys all about this. And we get to the table, and
I'm just raging.
and of course, Carrlyn is there. Cool. Mick Foley's daughter is there. By the way, you guys should watch Holy Foley if you are interested at all in like what it would take to become a wrestler. I've been finding that show pretty hilarious and fun. Although some people are being rude, but we'll talk about that some other time as well. But then at the table is my old coworker from Maker Studios, Dale.
I love
And
Dale!
I was like, Dale, what are you doing here? And Dale is actually part of Fox Compadre.
Yeah, he's my co-host. So
What a small world.
very small world. Very teeny tiny.
Teeny tiny world. Alright guys, well you can catch us on iTunes, YouTube, allgames.com, and soon on SoundCloud. We're going to talk to you more about that one. You should follow at Woman Up Show for announcements, for when we're going live, for links to everything. We have a YouTube channel, and the more of you who follow it, the more clout we have to tell YouTube to stop fucking with our channel name. So you should probably go, if you just search in the YouTube bar Woman Up Podcast, we pop right up. And if you do listen on iTunes, please give us a rating so we can become famous and quit our day jobs.
Woo!
Yeah. Anything else? Oh, I'm Sarah the Rebel. You can find me as Sarah the Rebel on Instagram, on Twitch, and on Twitter.
I'm MisfitsTamara. You can find me on the Twitters and your Instagrams. All up in your hoods.
All up in your hoods. Anyway, so until next time, remember to party down and woman up.